As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Joel M. Scoots.
Okay. All right, there we go.
Honor of the Sixers tonight.
Fuck.
That's the best I can do. Joel M. Gooter? No.
No.
I'll try to get
M.
the B in there.
Gooter?
It's after Joel Embiid.
Yep.
For those that don't know.
Sure is. There you go.
Goots.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best time of year, right? Playoff sports heating up. Bravo, heating up. We got a little summer house to talk about today. And look, I need to get myself back into playoff shape. I am not there.
No? You're
Nope.
dragging
I'm
a
still
little bit?
hungover from Saturday.
I can see it in your eyeballs. Yeah.
Uh-huh. In my eyeballs?
Yeah, I can see it in your eyeballs right now.
I don't know. Are you putting more emphasis on eye or balls?
I'm not looking at your balls. I'm
Okay.
looking at your eyes.
I can feel it in my balls.
That's fine.
My eyeballs.
Oh, welcome to the BravBros.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not hungover, and it actually reminded me. It was pretty funny today when I was watching. I wrote this down, and now that you just pulled this out already,
Did you watch the right Summer House?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Good job.
I watched the right one. We're going to do Martha's Vineyard later this week. Don't you worry. If you are not watching that yet and you're listening to this, I don't know why you're not. It's such a good show and it's a great season so far. So, like, do yourselves a favor. Start watching Martha's Vineyard, please. But what I was going to say is because Paige was really hungover in Summer House today. Yeah. And I was going to make the joke, like, have you seen there's like a TikTok or a skit where the guy, like, it's a bachelor party and all the dudes are like about to crack a beer like the next day. And the one guy's like, yeah, man, I'm just like really hungover. And that guy comes out of the door, like way down the hallways, like, what's that? Yeah, I'm not hungover because I don't drink.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah. And then the guy's like, yeah, no, we know. He's like, yeah, don't miss that feeling. Like,
It's you popping out down the hallway while I'm just hungover on the couch.
it's just like it's a trope for sober people where they get to say that all the time, and I've stopped saying it honestly because I want to avoid that. Where it's like every time people are like, "Oh, I'm so hungover," it's like, "Don't miss that." It's like, yeah, we know, we got it.
We get it. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, but I don't miss that. So
No.
anyway, I built a garden today. I feel very accomplished. Built my garden, and what else did I do this weekend? I've done a lot of shit since we got back from Italy.
Catching up.
Yeah, but like I wanted a chance to like ease into it.
Yeah.
Nope. My life will not permit that. I do too many things and I just got thrown back into the ringer. I'm exhausted. I've been back from vacation for 5 days. It feels like I've been back. I guess it's like a week now. I feel like I've been back for 2 months.
Yeah. I know you're waiting for the live show, which, by the way, live show 5/3. Make sure you get your tickets down in DC, Union Stage. Tickets in the bio. Plug in. I know you're waiting for that live show.
What a plug.
But you need a haircut.
I know.
I'm looking at it. It's wolfing out,
Oh,
brother.
I know. Well, I'm going to get the sides cleaned up, but I don't think I'm going to get the back.
Oh.
Like I do need to get the ears cleaned up because
a little mullety?
Not mullety because the front is long as shit.
Yeah, it is.
So I can do like the slick back maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Slick back or push back?
That's like really
Did
good.
you used to be a piece of shit or?
I'm going push back because slick back implies that I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
So push back, good call.
Yep.
But I do need to get the sides cleaned up because my sideburns get wild. But
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
yeah. No, I appreciate you. Yeah,
I know what you're waiting for. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a fresh cut.
That's it. Just to clean up here, but I don't know what to do back here.
Well, look, for everybody out there that thinks that it's easy being a guy, it's not.
This is what we deal with.
When you have to get a haircut, you ought to make sure you get a haircut like a week before whatever event you're doing because it does need to grow in a little bit more to look a little better.
Yes,
that
I know.
fresh cut look just doesn't look great, especially in the summer. You get tan lines. Ugh.
We're off and running, baby. No, but all things considered, it's been a solid week. It's been a solid week of Bravo. It's nice to kind of get back into the swing of things a little bit with our main shows. Vanderpump Villa is a blast, but I like getting back to like our bread and butter a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out, and it is weird, like we haven't done a Housewives show in a long time. None of them are airing right now. So
I know that's a good
why.
point. I know that and obviously we're gonna do this before the live show, but I know the Potomac did heat up during the reunion a bit.
Yeah.
So we don't regret dropping Potomac because it sucked the whole season. But the reunion's the reunion, and obviously you got a little bit of closure for some people who aren't going to be there anymore, i.e., Robin and Candace. So we'll get into that. I don't think we're ever going to really review that. We're going to talk about it in the live show, really.
Yeah.
But I guess the next Housewife show that we have coming up is just Jersey.
Jersey's coming up, and then
OC at some
Dubai.
point. Oh yeah, Dubai.
Dubai's on the horizon. Look.
No,
Hold on.
cautiously optimistic.
No, not even.
thank God.
No, we're optimistic. I'm curious. That's all. I'm curious how they've had so long since season 1. I don't know. I mean, some people love to clap back at us and say, I don't know why you hated Dubai. Dubai was garbage. It was hot garbage.
Who's
and
saying that?
in the comments, somebody said it. And I was like, that's so interesting because I didn't know that people enjoyed Dubai. And I'm curious with the time that they've been given. Have they figured some things out? Did they watch the tape? Did they watch some game film and come back with a different mindset in season 2? Because a few of them were in interviews and stuff saying, now that we got our feet wet, I kind of know how to navigate it a little bit better. It's going to be a different season. And they were also catching heat from other Housewife franchises that they weren't pulling their weight. So I'm curious if the pressure has made them rise to the occasion. Are we going to get a different kind of show, or is it going to be kind of the same bullshit where they're leaning on the fact that they live in Dubai the whole time?
I know. I want to blame a lot of that just on production and
agree.
leaning into the whole Dubai thing because, let's be honest, that just didn't work after the first 2 episodes.
It was literally
There was
episode
just
2. I was like,
nothing
ooh, pretty.
else.
And then it was nothing.
And all the other issues that we had leading into the show that we had a lot of questions about, specifically, what kind of behavior can you actually get away with in Dubai?
Yeah.
Apparently not much. So I don't know. I'm not even optimistic at all. I'm actually a little scared that because they were getting so much heat from the other franchises, they're going to try to lean into it more and produce more inorganic drama, which never fucking works. So I don't know. You know what? I'll worry about that when that show drops.
Yeah, but I like I said, I'm curious. That's all.
Curious.
Just a little curious.
Dubai curious.
I'm Dubai curious to see how they do second year, sophomore season. Because to me, it's make or break. If it sucks, you got to can it.
Yep.
But regardless, what
We're here to talk about Summer House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're here to talk about Summer House, and I love this season. I think that it's bringing a lot of the former Summer House to light, where it's yeah, this is why we watch the show, for the partying, for everybody getting along. We want drama for sure.
Right.
And we're getting some drama. We're getting drama throughout the house, which is nice, but none of it, ever since Carl and Lindsay have kind of settled down a little bit, you're not getting the dark stuff, the heavy shit. We've had a little bit of a reprieve from it, which I've really enjoyed because
We know where it's going.
We do know where it's going. So we're kind of gearing up for the downfall at this point. But since we know that's on the horizon, it's almost better that we're getting some party scenes, some lighter scenes. Everyone's getting along. We get to focus on kind of more trivial stuff, like who's going to swoop in on Joe the Balloon Guy, instead of are they going to get married or are they heavy shit.
Yeah.
So I would rather talk about Joe the Balloon Guy for a couple of weeks and then get back into the
Couple of weeks with Joe Balloon Guy.
We're going to have 2 weeks of Joe the Balloon Guy. We had one tonight, and we're going to have another one next week.
Yeah.
That's 2 Joe Balloon Guys.
Might be too many.
Or should we call them Joey Loons or something?
Joey Loons.
Joey Loons. Yeah, I like that. But let's get into this. I'm just rambling now. Let me get my Italian-made leather notebook out. No big deal.
You just ditch the leather immediately.
So when I write in it, I leave it on, but it's easier to navigate without it.
Yep.
But it's just a cover. And it smells good.
I really hope that sniff got through the mic. Oh, you don't have to double down on it. I think I caught it the first time.
Well, now I can edit it in if I have to. It's all about the effects, all right? Quality sound work. Let's
Can't figure out how to use the soundboard, but can edit in a good sniff.
Yeah, I'm a Foley artist.
Yep. Mhm.
But let's get into Summer House this week. We start out and everyone's driving there. We see West and Ciara. They're still vibing. But this is interesting. And we talked about it a little bit before, how the modeling contract was going to affect their relationship. And they bring it up, which is interesting because West is we get a confessional. We're yeah, just sign the 2 years and it's going to be international. Or Ciara says that. And West is I heard from Complex and hopefully that works out. We do know that did work out. But the fact that he's aware of that And that was kind of our prediction. I wonder if that threw a wrench into things as to where they stand now.
Yeah, I think it did. And we see this a couple times, whether it's the two of them talking in the drive up, West talking to Ciara's manager a little bit later. He's got it in the back of his mind already. So when it popped up last week that we knew Ciara was signing this contract for 2 years and it was going to be international, she's going to be traveling and this and that, immediately it just clicked, just based off of how West was talking to us when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. So everything's falling into line. And again, West he's a really good dude. I know that this is a fucking weird thing. People are trying to find skeletons in his closet. He's too good of a person.
They're digging?
People are digging.
Why?
And they're not finding anything. And that's what it really comes down to. It's like, maybe he's not as good a person as we think. Until you find something that says he's not a good person, shut the fuck up.
Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Well, they're trying to prove him guilty.
Why?
That's the thing.
Leave it
Yeah.
be.
He's not on trial.
It's nice to have.
He's on trial for being too good of a person.
It's nice to have a nice person on the show. Look,
I know.
do I think that maybe he could have like some fuckboy tendencies like in there somewhere?
You get
Yeah,
that with
sure.
Jesse. Like the two of them came on the show. West is a really sweet, nice guy. We are shipping him and Ciara. That's a thing.
Shipping?
Shipping, yeah.
What does that mean?
You don't know what that means?
No.
It's like when you're supporting a relationship. You ship
Shipping?
them. Yeah, you ship them.
That doesn't sound positive.
Yeah.
If
no,
I
sounds
ship
good.
something, it sounds like I'm sending it off. I don't like it.
Yeah,
Ship
sending
that.
it off to Promised Land.
I don't see it that way.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just
I
telling
don't-
you how it works.
I don't stand for that one. How about that?
God. Anyway, but you get that with West, and then Jesse's
cap.
Jesse's the other side of that coin without being a dick.
Yeah.
He's an admitted fuckboy from New York, just bops around. He's a finance bro. He's everything that you expect, but he's still not an asshole.
Yeah, because he's
To an
upfront
extent.
about it.
He's upfront about everything, and he's a lovable asshole, if you will. So that's perfect. So we get a little bit of the two of them getting up there. Just leave West out of it.
Yeah, I firmly agree. We like West. I think everybody likes West. I think that's the problem. You can't be
That's
too
the
well liked.
problem. Yep.
Can't be too well liked around here. But we get Gabby coming back, and she is fresh off a trip to Texas where her parents just moved, and I guess her sister has a boyfriend now, which has ramped up the pressure on her finding a boyfriend. So she's coming into this weekend, I'm not going to say with goals, but she's definitely feeling the pressure of trying to find a dude. And I don't know if that's the
I don't
dad.
know. Yeah.
I don't know if that's Lindsay pushing it. I don't know.
Lindsay pushing it, but also trying to find a boyfriend if you're Gabby, and we know based off of her first season, she kind of broke down what her standards are.
She seems to have. Hold on, before
She's-
we get
she's
into
definitely
it,
like-
she's alleviated her standards 1 and 2, and I wrote it down.
That doesn't mean that you go for the balloon guy, though.
No, not.
That,
Well,
that
hey,
could just be a fun summer thing.
don't disparage balloon guy Joe. We don't know Joey Loons. We don't know what he does. Okay,
He
maybe
works with balloons. What do you mean?
maybe it's a very lucrative business. I am
Balloons.
not one to put somebody's profession down because I do not know the ins and outs of the balloon
What's
game.
his job? Balloons.
I feel like you're being condescending
No,
when
I'm
you have.
making. I think you should leave. Skit.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Tables.
My bad. My bad. I missed it. But I wrote it down later when she gets back to the house. And Jesus, you're
I
attacking
don't know
your
what happened.
microphone?
I don't know what happened.
You need to go to sleep.
No, I'm fine. The Sixers tonight. Everybody relax.
Yeah, everyone calm down. But I wrote it down when she flips over the couch and like slams into the coffee table.
Yeah.
Gabby's hit her stride. I think she came into the house, and for certain personalities, I think coming into this house is probably very intimidating. It's a lot of big personalities. You've seen them on TV. You got to fit in. You got to also meet them or match their energy. I think she had a hard time with that last year. I think you're finally seeing a comfortable Gabby. I'm really enjoying her when she's on the show. I know she hasn't been there like every weekend.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that she's liked by everyone.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody in the house that's actively disliking her or the girls being catty towards her. She can kind of mix around with really anybody in the house, which is more than you can say about a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Mostly the veterans, the people who have been there for years. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit more of people like Paige and Lindsay coexisting, but to the extent that Gabby's doing it, where she's able to go around and have meaningful conversations with everybody, that's what you need for a housemate.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying her this season a lot, but we get to the house and Danielle and Lindsay are getting ready to go out, and they are back on good terms, at least for the most part. It seems like I don't know if it's the same relationship they had before, but they are friends again. And, the last couple weekends for Carl and Lindsay have been solid. They haven't really fought in front of people, even their camera in their bedroom, like they're getting along one-on-one.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting, and this isn't even from a like Team Carl or Team Lindsay standpoint. This is neutral, just looking at their relationship as a whole. She's like, yeah, I finally got some space and like we're doing really well. It's like, you don't see the problem with that? Like you guys have gotten space from each other and things are going better.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to what Lindsay's talking about, when it comes to the relationship, I take everything with a grain of salt. She says bad things that are going on in the relationship and has this like carefree attitude towards it.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I don't really know what the hell's going on there, but everything they're doing now, and look, we're thankful for the fact that it's not deep, it's not dark, it's not scary shit that they're talking about anymore. It still seems so bizarre, and I know that this happens a little bit later, but when he walks in, and we already know that they're not having sex. When he walks in and he goes, "Wow, your butt looks great, babe. I want to have sex with it." What the fuck is that? What is that? What are you doing, Carl?
I missed that.
What do you mean you missed that?
I don't know if I was writing something
Oh,
down.
Jesus, dude. No, it's right before they're getting ready for the alien party. Lindsay's getting ready. She's in the bathroom. He walks in and he goes, "Wow, babe, your butt looks great. I want to have sex with it." And she goes, "Oh, babes." Like, no.
I'm so glad I didn't hear
He's
that.
overcorrecting, obviously. I think he realizes now, or maybe somebody had said something to him about them not having sex. So he's like, "Oh, I got to ramp it up a little bit and act like I'm doing this." I don't know what the fuck's going on, but
That just
don't
implies
do that.
they're not having sex.
That implies he's never had sex before. How's that work, Carl?
That's fucking funny. But Danielle's not really in a dating place. She says she's just geared in on the business. She's hustling and she's starting to take shots at people.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it more later with Paige, but she says, and it's a valid point, granted, but she's like, couples in this house aren't making me like want to rush into a relationship.
Yeah.
Which is very valid.
Well, I guess like Ciara and West, if you're going to call them a couple, that would make me want to rush into a
That
relationship
would.
because that looks really sweet and nice.
But she's looking at the serious relationships in the house, which are both not doing very well.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that they're rekindling this friendship. And she's like, I'm just going to take a quick dig right here and then move on. Lindsay takes it in stride, actually. I thought it could have gotten a lot worse. But the next scene is a TikTok game that I want to try.
I love this game.
I want to try it.
Yeah,
We're going to try
take
it.
us a while.
We're going to try it 4 times.
Okay.
And you just name a word, right?
Any word.
Any
Just
word.
one word. Yep.
No hints or anything?
No
We just
hints or
gotta-
anything.
So
You
it's
just 3, 2, 1, and then we
3,
both
2,
say a
1.
word. And then what you do is you find the similarities between the two and try to meet at a middle point, which is the same word.
Let's try 5 of them.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Car.
Basketball. Okay. 3, 2, 1. NASCAR.
Blake Griffin.
Oh, we're going opposites now. Okay, I see where we're going.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Joel Embiid.
Left turn.
Left turn.
Yeah, NASCAR.
We keep going back and forth.
I
Now you're
know.
going car. I'm going basketball. We got to
Fuck.
find what's the middle ground. This is hard.
This is really difficult.
Okay. We got 2 more tries. We're in
Yep.
between basketball and NASCAR. We got to find the common ground.
Yep.
Okay. I'm fucking lost. I think we picked 2 really hard ones to try to come together on. 3, 2, 1.
Formula
Seatbelt.
One.
Closer.
Oh, all right.
Closer.
All right. You
Okay.
think you're thinking what I'm thinking here?
I don't know, but we're gonna try it. Ready?
Last one.
3, 2, 1. Pit
Red
stop.
Bull. Oh,
Fuck. Oh, Red Bull's a good
Yeah.
one. Damn. I think we got the gist.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
we'll
try
try
it again next week.
Yeah, I like this is a new segment now.
New segment.
New segment. Yeah, I
New
love
segment. Steal a game that we saw on TikTok.
Not even. I saw it on TV. But up next, we see Kyle and Amanda, and they're vibing. They're doing well post therapy. That was their only therapy session that they went to, period.
Yeah.
Because I saw them on Watch What Happens Live a couple weeks ago. They never ended up going back, but they also seemed like they were in a good place on Watch What Happens Live. So I think that they subconsciously set the tone for the house. Like when they're doing well, the house tends to do well. And I love when they're doing well. They're much more enjoyable to watch when they're vibing together instead of at each other's
I think
throats.
it's because they get everybody else involved in their shit. Like Amanda goes and talks to Paige, she talks to the rest of the girls. Kyle goes and talks to literally anybody about what's going on.
Yeah.
He'll talk to a guy on the street about his marital problems, which
Yeah, he
is
will.
funny, makes for good TV, and that's pretty much just where it is. So if they can at least keep it indoors and not spread it out to everybody else, they can be okay with it. And it's kind of weird to watch Lindsay and Carl, where last year they bogged everybody down with their shit. People were getting involved because they were scared of what the fuck was going on. Now it's just Kyle and Amanda. You would think after like 8 years of this that the rest of the house wouldn't let them affect what's going on. But for some reason, it still always pulls them into it.
Yeah, I know. And maybe it is because they walk around and talk to everybody in the house about it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it
I'm
might be.
curious. But we get a night out, and Gabby's on the prowl. She's looking for a dude. Lindsay and West talk about Ciara. And this is where we find out more about like our theory of did the modeling contract derail some things or push things further down the road. And he says, I could see it moving forward, but because of this contract, like, I'm not really sure where we stand.
Yeah.
We're going to get through the summer and see where they go from there. We got the same answer from him when we interviewed him. It was, we're working on things. So to me, it's looking more like what you think, where everything's amicable. They had a great summer, but it's like, you're going to do your thing. He's starting his new job at Complex. Maybe now's not the right time, which is a shame if that is the case, because they seem to work so well together.
Yeah, and it'll all end up working out at some point, because the truth of the matter is, next summer you're going to be in the same house again.
Yeah.
So you're going to be back together, and those emotions are going to come back up. So as long as they're still at least in a place now, and look, I mean, we're going to start filming in almost less than 2 months now. They're probably right around 2 months, right around 4th of July is when they start. So you're going to be back in the same house. And yeah, I mean, Ciara's still going to have things that she has to do. Wes is still going to have things that he has to do. But you're going to see each other for the most part almost every weekend.
Yeah.
So if it's meant to be, they'll rekindle it a little bit, or maybe they've kept it at some sort of long distance thing, or see each other whenever we can. We hope that they end up together because they're sweet.
Yeah, I agree. But we get a scene with Kyle, Paige, and Danielle. They're inside of the bar.
Well, I want to ask your opinion on something before we
okay.
jump into that. Danielle's running around the bar.
Yeah.
Talking to dudes.
Yeah.
Saying, "Are you single? Because I've got a single friend over here." What do you think about that?
I think that that's her move.
I don't like it.
I think that she does that because then the guy's like, "Who's your friend?" But wait, who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a move.
Yeah, that's definitely her move.
I don't
call.
I don't think I have an issue with it. I think
it's awkward.
But look, a lot of the game that we see on these shows are awkward. It is what it is. And
I think it's just from my perspective. Like, I wouldn't go around to other groups of girls and be like, "Hey, are you single? My friend's single." Like, no,
I don't think it's a terrible line, honestly. Because then, one, you find out who is single. Two, you see if they're interested in the friend. And then you play the devil's advocate, like the matchmaker, and be like, "Oh no, I'm not interested." You can play coy a little bit. Then maybe that works out in your favor.
Maybe it's just because Danielle was doing it. That's why I had a problem with it.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that was the worst move in the world. But Kyle, Paige, and Danielle are talking about, the vibes this summer are great. And Danielle brings up Craig and Paige. Or I guess Kyle brings up Craig and Paige.
Kyle did, yeah.
Yeah. And, this is the first time that he's heard some uncertainty in Craig's voice. And he's curious, like, maybe could you make Craig a little bit more comfortable with this whole thing? But we've heard this same conversation since Southern Charm. Like, this is not there's nothing new again.
It's nothing new again, except for that one conversation that Craig and Kyle had a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, but he's
where
said
Craig
that shit
even
before.
said, yeah, he's definitely said it before, but for one reason or another, Kyle leaned into it a little bit more this time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because Craig didn't immediately deny wanting to potentially move on from Paige if it's not the right fit.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's kind of focused on. And again, look, it's a TV show, so he wants to talk to Paige about this because we don't get a whole lot of conversations with just the two of them. Now, obviously, Danielle butting in towards the end, that's a different problem. But Kyle and Paige talking, I'm okay with that because
totally
that's still like a best friend adjacent. So, whatever. And he just wants to get something out of her. And again, we still have to do the same song and dance when it comes to Craig and Paige. So here we are. And Danielle jumping in is the wrong move.
Absolutely.
Because, and look, we have a job to do. We analyze these things. I would say the Paige hit the nail on the head.
She did.
She saw what her role was last year with Lindsay and Carl. It didn't end up well. So now she's keeping her distance from them, getting closer to Paige and Amanda and whoever else because of all that shit that happened last year. And now she's interjecting herself into Craig and Paige. Look, I get it from the TV perspective, but you're not friends with Paige. You're in no moral high ground to start talking to her about what she should do with her relationship, let alone say something like, well, I feel like you're giving him nothing.
I know that she was very firm in her stance of what their relationship was. And it's like, how much time have you spent with the two of them? Like, you're not in Charleston with them. You're seeing them on the weekends together. You're basing it off of not a lot of info, maybe basing it off of what the info we have.
Pretty much what we're watching, yeah.
Which is watching it on TV, what we see on socials.
What people are talking about,
right.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you're the end-all, be-all of where they stand. And I thought we got more out of Paige in this conversation than we have in the past because she's like, I know I'm going to marry this man.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, tell him that. That would probably go a long way.
I think she probably has.
I'm sure they have behind. Like, here's the biggest thing we need to take away from these two, Craig and Paige. They're fine. They're fine with where they're at. At least that's what they tell people. And like you always say, until there's a break in the case, we don't have to keep doing this.
No.
Because there's no new information present. But yeah, She takes it a step further, and Daniel goes, well, you have his balls on a mantle. I was like, damn, you're taking shots. I said it earlier.
What does that even mean?
I think it means
You like to look at them every once in a while and be like, they're mine?
No, I
Like,
think
I've
it's-
heard like balls in your handbag.
I think it's comparable to like balls in your purse,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing, where like, yeah, you kind of lead him along when he'll do whatever you want him to do.
Balls on a mantle implies that you like to look at them, though. You know,
I mean, yeah,
like you want to display like serial killers, like displaying body parts, and
yeah, if you want to take it absolutely literally, you fucking weirdo. No,
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't take it that literally.
no, understand what she was trying to
Well,
say.
it was weird. It's a weird phrase.
but you get what she was trying to do with it because you just
I
broke
don't
it
know.
down. What do you mean? You
Now I'm starting to think that Danielle might want to do something like that. I don't
my
know.
God, you're an idiot. But you can watch Kyle throughout this whole scene. His face is like, oh shit. And I think that it's a combination of what you were talking about, where now she is distancing herself from the Lindsay and Carl drama. I think she has gotten to a place with Amanda and Paige where she's like, oh, we're all tight. So I can say
In
this
her
kind of
mind,
shit.
yeah, for sure.
In her mind. Yeah. I think that if she looks at the season, you would see it more like, oh, you guys are starting to bridge some gaps. Like you're getting more comfortable. Things are going well. Let's not rock the boat. Instead, let's rock the boat with Craig's balls and really get into this. And I think that she overstepped. I don't think that was her place to say
No.
that. And Paige clocks her later in her confessional, and we'll get to that. But they get back home, and this is where I wrote in my book because Gabby does a flip over the couch, lands on the coffee table, and I was like, Gabby's hit her stride. And not because she's drunk falling over. She's just, watch her in the after
Comfortable.
party. Yeah, watch
Yeah.
her in the after party. She's dancing, vibing. Kyle's like, you make sitting down look hard, which is one of the funniest lines I've heard for a drunk person. I'm going to use that in the future. But she did. Like, it's good to see her. We already talked about it, but it's just nice to see that she's fitting into the group. She's vibing with everybody. Kyle and Amanda, they had a great night together. They were partying, which was fun to watch. It was just a fun night out. And we don't get a lot of
We
those
don't
anymore.
get a lot of fun nights out. Usually we do get a fun night out, but there's no footage from it.
They're not allowed to go in the
So
bar.
at least they finally figured out which bars they can go to and bring the cameras along.
I find it surprising that bars in the Hamptons aren't like, fuck yeah, come film.
It's the Hamptons.
That's a good point. They
Yeah.
probably don't need the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Valid
Like that
point.
old money shit. They're like, hey, get away from here.
Yeah, tuh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go to the Hamptons. We go to Wildwood. But
Yeah. Bring your cameras wherever you want.
yeah, you could bring whatever you want anywhere. But actually, no. There's no cabanas on the beach this year.
Did I tell you that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's only in North Wildwood because they have no beach.
Oh, really?
Their beach is like pretty much gone. Yeah.
We're North Wildwood.
I know.
What happened to the beach? Storms?
Storms, the dredging didn't work, and a couple other things. Yeah, so they just outruled. The other problem is that a lot of people, and now we're just going North Wildwood talk, a lot of people get there at like 7 a.m. and set up their whole big fucking thing, and then people can't sit
Careful.
there.
Careful. Weedy wakes up early.
Okay, you
takes our
can't do
stuff
that.
down. Well, that guarantees you get a good spot.
Sure, you can bring your chairs there. You can't put a cabana up there though.
But you can still put your shit there, so I feel
Sure.
like that's, well, then what's
It's just the
point?
big cabanas.
Why?
I don't know.
People are going to get sunburnt. It's not safe.
You can have one 8-foot umbrella.
Just beach tag it.
I agree with that.
Just make beach tags.
I've been pulling for beach tags for Wildwood for a long time.
Yeah, I think the beach tag it.
It keeps all the trash out.
Only the classy Wildwood people get to go, like myself.
Yeah.
But anyway, the next morning we get Paige hungover, and this is where I wrote down, like, make the joke about don't miss that, you know? But you ruined it. But
Oh well.
Gabby got a number the night before. Good for you, Gabby. Turns out to be a gay man, but hey, you're trying.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. We're moving in the right direction. Danielle got some numbers, she said, but Lindsay brings up Joey Loons, Balloon Guy Joe. And that I did see, she seemed a little more interested in him than she probably should be. But
Yeah, she was very excited about Balloon Guy
she
Joe.
was excited, but she's also trying to hook her friends up. So I actually didn't have a lot of issues with Lindsay this episode.
No, neither did I.
Honestly, even when her and Carl were talking, I was leaning more towards her side
Agreed,
of things.
yeah.
And we'll get to that
Kind of
later.
hoping that you were leaning towards Carl, though, because I wanted to get into a healthy debate, but okay.
No, it's hard to debate that one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a minute. But the stage is set between Gabby and Danielle, and I totally forgot. We get a flashback to it later on in the episode when Gabby's saying, like, I'm not going toe-to-toe with Danielle over this. And initially I was like, oh, you don't think you can take her? I was reminded, I forgot about that scene last year where Gabby's like, yeah, that guy you hooked up with? She's like, oh, yeah. She's like, yeah, he was actively cheating on me with you.
Yeah.
Oof.
Forgot all about that one.
That's a big one, especially now that they're going toe-to-toe over Balloon Guy Joe. So that's an interesting little tidbit to add to this mix. But we got a pool convo with West, Amanda, and Paige. And this is about the lack of sex between him and Ciara. And he asked them, like, were you guys, when you would go out, is it like first night, first date, you're hooking up? Or do you wait? And Amanda's like, no, it's like 2 or 3. You got to work for it a little bit. And they're like, why? And he's like, it's weekend 6 and we still haven't had sex. And I think a big point that was made is like, well, how many dates have you been on? He's like, well, 2. It's like, all right, well, that's not that long. And the biggest thing, and I think, and I hope this doesn't get lost, I didn't get from West that he's like, I need to fuck. Like, we need to figure this out.
No, not at all.
I think it's more so like it's bringing out insecurities in him where he's like, oh, I don't have a job. She's used to dating older men. I'm younger. Am I not enough? Like, is that why we're not doing it? I don't think it's so much just to like get his rocks off. I think it's more so insecurities creeping through. That being said, it's one of those things, man. It's like, if she's not ready to have sex, then you're not having sex.
Yeah,
and that's completely fine.
I also think the approach of talking to her friends about it because they like you, so they're going to be able to talk to you on a real level, is way better than trying to force the situation with Ciara.
Absolutely.
And she probably would appreciate that too, because you're coming from a different perspective of, I just want to make sure that we're good because I feel like I've been doing everything the right way and I don't want to push those boundaries with you, but I'm going to talk to your friends about it because they talk about everything anyway.
Yeah, I think
I think that's the right approach.
He's trying to like take the temperature and make sure that the lack of sex is not due to what he is currently like.
Yeah, it's not indicative of whether or not she's interested. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's the root of it. But Carl and Danielle start chit-chatting, and I don't think that they ever had a problem. I think that that problem was rooted in the fact that Lindsay and Danielle had a huge falling out, and Carl's engaged to Lindsay, so that's where everything happened. So you can tell that I think both of them are psyched to like be back in each other's good graces. But that's where Carl brings up the Loverboy thing and getting back into business with Kyle. And she's like, well, have you talked to Lindsay about it? And he's like, no, I'm actually really nervous too. And as we've seen in the past, she's not the most supportive of his hopes and dreams. However, this is a real premise of a real job. Mm-hmm. This is different than I'm thinking about opening up a non-alcoholic sports bar. This is actually tangible. This is something you could probably start doing tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's a different situation than what we've seen before. But then we get to Paige, Amanda, and Ciara, and they're talking about the sex stuff again because Ciara hasn't obviously heard this conversation, so they're filling her in as to what happened. They have to take a quick pause because West comes in while they're talking about it. And I thought it was even funnier that they're like, we're talking about you and what you told us earlier. Get the fuck out of here. In your alien suit, which was a great suit, by the way. But he bounces, and they're chit-chatting about it. I thought Ciara made excellent points here. She's like, it's so interesting to me that people are so quick to hook up, but so slow to share their feelings. Like, I'm not going to share my body with you if you can't share your feelings with me. I was like, that makes total sense. And she also hammers home. It's like, look, if this is something that he needs from me, like to move forward, it's like, that's not how this works. When I'm ready to have sex, we will have sex. 1000%. Absolutely. There's no pushing that timeline when you're not prepared to have sex. And that she's well within her right to say all of those things. The only thing I was like, oh, interesting, is when she says, like, what are we even doing here? Like, we make out on the weekends and like during the week, it's like you're dating. That's what that is. You're dating. You're hanging out on the weekends. You're hanging out during the week. That is not saying like, yeah, have sex by any means at all. It's just when you say, what are you doing? It's like, to me, you're seeing each other. What else do you do?
Yeah, no, I would fully agree with that. So I didn't really understand what she meant by any of that because, I mean, yeah, again, they only went on 2 dates, but I don't think that's counting, the times that they're hanging out during the week.
And,
like, I think she's physically saying like actually planned out dates with reservations and stuff because we've seen them hang out multiple times during the week and we've seen them hang out in a group during the week. So they're still seeing each other in the city. It's not like, oh, wow, how was your week? You're talking all the time.
Right.
So Ciara not understanding what's going on was confusing to me.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys have talked about it and we're going to get a scene in the next week or two where Paige is saying, are you hooking up with other girls to West? So I think that's what it's going to come down to is what do you guys both see it as? And they need to have that conversation, obviously, and then you'll get a little bit further. So, I don't care what pace they're moving at because I like them together and they're not starting any drama, and I don't really care about any of that. It was just a little confusing to me that Ciara doesn't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what's going on, then why are you still calling him when he's away and
FaceTiming
him and hanging out in bed together. Like, that's confusing to me.
It's confusing. Again,
And if she said that to West would have every right in the world to be like, well, I'm confused.
Yeah,
What do you
what
mean?
are we?
Yeah.
And like again, that is not saying anything about the sex part of it. That's only about like
Yeah, they're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
yeah, that's just it's interesting.
They're
Like
just dating, right?
oh, don't start that nonsense again.
Right.
The fucking labels. You and your fucking labels. I'll never understand that.
It's
shit.
really you and your labels.
It's
You have the
not.
issue with labels.
I do. I think
You
they're
don't get it.
dumb. Yeah, because it's all semantics. It like makes you feel better about a situation without actually changing the situation in any way, shape, or form. Just because you slap a different label on it does not mean it's different.
Uh-huh.
That's dumb.
Okay.
That's counterproductive.
All right.
Whatever. It's so stupid to me. But we move on. Balloon guy Joe, he gets there. Balloon guy Joe shows up to put the balloons out for the party. Danielle immediately goes up and talks to him. Gabby needs a minute because she wants to present her best self. She's like, I'm not going to meet this guy for the first time, like sweaty, setting up a party. Like, let me get my shit together. And
Yeah,
then
putting down some chicken salad,
Yeah, you gotta, I get it. Which is totally fine. But we get to the space party. We get a Chris sighting. I was so excited to see Chris, and they didn't blur him out or like
Nope.
have like a background shot
He's
of
still
him.
in the good graces. He's just not on the show.
I miss Chris.
Yeah.
I do. The
I
dad
think,
jokes.
honestly, like, and I know that there's already a problem with how many people are in that house, but
he would
like
fit in.
somebody like Sam, getting rid of Sam doesn't really make a whole lot of
No.
sense. I keep getting reminded of her really when I see Gabby because the two of them came on the same season. I don't know where Sam would fit in well in this house. I think with especially adding West and Jesse, like that would be a lot of fun. Unless, Jesse and Sam start hooking up, then that could throw the whole thing off. But either way, I think that they got rid of some people that they shouldn't have gotten rid of.
I agree
You
with
could have Chris come up on random weekends because he's fun. He's got good rapport with everybody else. You can have Sam come up on random weekends. I think they kind of missed the hit on that one.
Chris could have filled the role that Corey was playing, where he like shows up. No. Woo. Not saying bring Corey back. I'm saying that like that role of he's gonna pop up there every once in a while and then he's gonna go back. Like I could do with a little bit more Chris and some awkward dad jokes in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
But regardless, the laser tag blow up thing. We need to look into that for
fucking
a
sick.
party. That's the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like blow up laser tag.
At first, I thought that they were just going in there and it was just going to be like nothing in there.
Same.
It was a full course. And then I said, oh, well, they've just got guns out there because it's a space party. It's going to be fun. No, full laser tag.
Yeah.
Sick.
I want that.
Fully in on that. Yeah.
Let's have a party for no reason and get that if we can. But balloon guy Joey Loons shows back up. He gets all dressed up, looking good, shows up, and Danny.
You think dressed up and looking good? Is that what you're saying?
I think compared to backwards hat getting ready for the pool party, I also don't appreciate, and we talk about it every time it's a costume party. Don't be the guy or the girl that shows up to the costume party.
Especially when you put up the balloons, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I meant more so
Just
like
ask somebody and be like, hey, I'm coming to this party later. Do you got anything for me? Put something on.
I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm saying more so he clearly tried to get cleaned up because he knew he was going to meet some single ladies. I don't appreciate ever when there's a costume party that you're too cool to dress up for the party. Just lean into it. Wear something.
I thought his jeans could use a few more holes.
Yeah, definitely get some more holes in those jeans. We need more holes in jeans.
Yep.
I think that everybody can get behind that.
Sure.
I think that's actually coming back, jokes aside. I think that's a thing again.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I think multiple holes in the jeans. That's like high school for us.
Yeah.
I used to have a pair with a big old hole in the
Look,
knee.
like girls wearing holes in jeans, that's always been fine. It's the guys that wear the holes in jeans. I'm like, no.
It's a tough
Yeah,
look.
out.
It's a tough look. Yeah, I agree. We get a conversation between Derek and Wes, Derek being Ciara's new manager, and obviously has her best intentions at heart because, one, it seems like they're friends now, and two, she does well business-wise, he does well business-wise. So he's definitely got her best interest at heart, and he's giving like the dad talk to Wes, like, what are your intentions with my Ciara?
Pretty much. I thought it was kind of sweet that he at least started it off with, I've heard a lot about you.
And it was all good stuff.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a problem with the scene by any means.
No, not
You
at all.
can tell he's got Ciara's back.
Just really hammering home the fact that she's going to be on the road a lot.
Yeah.
And it's going to strain your relationship if you want to build it to that.
Correct. And I wonder how that affected them moving forward at all, if that like conversation is in the back of his mind.
Could be. I mean, this whole thing, obviously, it evolved within one weekend. Obviously, Ciara reached out to West at some point and let him know how the meeting went and what was going on and, kind of what you can look forward to, at least for Ciara being in the city for the next couple of months and years. He already started having second thoughts. He's already had issues. He's talking to Paige and Amanda about the sex thing. Now he's got this on his mind, and then he runs into Derek, and Derek's talking about it a little bit more. So it is a lot to deal with within one weekend.
It's a lot. It is a lot. He hasn't been there as much though recently, so it's like, here's everything.
Yeah.
Like, bah. But that'll tell you a lot about him, honestly. If you give a dude like that much to process about a potential relationship, how they respond to that's going to be very telling.
Yeah.
Like if he's really into it, if he's going to see where things go, or if he's getting kind of tired of like Ciara apparently not knowing where they stand, like that kind of stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how like his response to getting pressured a little bit into what he wants and what his intentions are. So we'll see how he responds. But we get a scene between Gabby, Lindsay, Paige, and Amanda. They're sitting talking about Joey Loons, and they're like, where is he? He's like, oh, well, Danielle swooped. I love this move. They're like, well, you get back in there and you swoop him back. Let's get everyone swooping in. And she does, but Joey Loons is kind of a dork. Like this dude, he's like, why would you even ask me if I wanted a shot? Just fill him up, baby. Like, all right. Tone it down.
Yeah, tone it down a little bit. And I feel like that's the whole thing is they're pushing Gabby into this situation. And she's it's not that she doesn't want to be in it. It's not that she doesn't want to go talk to Joey Loons. She just wants to do it on her own terms, and everybody's kind of forcing her to do that. And I just think it's really funny because she starts off the weekend saying, my dad wants to know when I'm going to get a boyfriend. This is not a boyfriend prospect.
No, not
at all.
Because of his profession. Because we don't know what else he does. I don't like disparaging people.
I imagine it's just balloons.
Maybe it's lucrative.
Sure, whatever. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that you're going to get into a relationship with. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that Gabby wants to vibe with. Danielle's just going to bop around. Look, Danielle doesn't even give a shit. She's talking to him. As soon as Gabby goes over, she goes over and starts talking to two guys that she met at the bar last night. Yeah. So you can get in there. You can do whatever the hell you want. I think it's just the added pressure of Lindsay really wanting, which is so weird. This isn't coming from a friend thing, like, oh, I really want you to hook up with this guy.
It's a living
Lindsay
vicariously.
Lindsay thinks he's hot.
Yeah, it's living vicariously through them.
Yeah, and that's all she's really doing, and anybody can tell that. As soon as she starts talking about the guy, she starts glowing talking about this balloon guy. Like, come on.
Yep, but Paige and Amanda start talking about the Craig conversation that Paige had the night previously with Danielle. And she calls out, and she was ruthless about it, but she calls out a lot of the issues that I had with the scene, that you seemingly had with the scene as well. It's like, you're telling me about my relationship, like job, relationship, all these things, all these personal things. You have no job or a boyfriend. I have both, and you're going to give me advice on what to do?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing to take away from here is when she says, this is kind of fucked up, but it was funny when she's like, tell Lindsay to take her friend back. We made a mistake. But the craziest part, and this is the second time we've seen this, and mind you, Paige and Amanda have not been cool with Lindsay in a very long time. There have been a lot of contentious summers, even before Carl and Lindsay were together.
Yeah.
Take that out of the mix. They were still not always getting along. This is the second time that they've said something along the lines of, I see where Lindsay was coming from last year. I kind of get what she was saying when it comes to Danielle. And I think what you're getting is Danielle getting too comfortable. You got too comfortable with two people that weren't that close to you. You started to get a little bit closer, and now you just shot yourself in the foot because you overextended yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have talked about the Craig thing, because say what you want. All right, say that Paige is checked out, say that she leads him on, whatever. I don't agree with any of those things. I think that that's just their dynamic and they're cool with it, whatever. But she will defend Craig. She will defend herself very well to the ends of the earth. Like the things that she is passionate about, she will go after you about it. Always provoked. Like she's not one to throw shade randomly, usually. But if you fuck with her, like she's capable of throwing a haymaker, and that's what she does right here in her confessional. She's like, we made a mistake, back the fuck off, stop talking about it. And I think that was the craziest thing to me. And I don't know if it's maybe she felt like she wasn't doing enough this season.
It might be that. Honestly, the thing with Danielle, I think in her mind, she's bigger on this show than she actually is.
Interesting.
And in reality, she's been gone for 2 weekends, and I didn't notice that she was gone. Like that's truly, I feel like that's how all viewers watch this show. Danielle comes back, and you're like, oh yeah, Danielle's on this show. And when she gets involved in other people's shit, it's like, you're not really, especially coming off of last year, you should have the idea of, all right, I need to have an easy year. I need to have fun because at the end of the day, this show is about having fun. And if you're able to run around and have a great time, a la Jesse, a la West, obviously West with Ciara is a little bit different, but if you're able to do that on a show like this, that's really all we need. There's enough going on with the other marriages, the other big relationships in the house. We don't need any more of the forced drama. We don't need you to force yourself into those situations where you're talking about it because we have enough already. Go have fun and have yourself a relaxing summer.
You don't have to get involved.
Don't get involved.
You don't have to.
You already shot yourself in the foot 50 times last year with Lindsay and Carl. You already did it. You've done it with Amanda and Kyle before. You've done it with everybody else in the house. You should just be looking forward to having a nice, easy summer. You're not important enough to jump into these conversations with these people because this is what's going to happen. The real mainstays on this show are going to sit down and say, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And then they're going to gang up on you. You're not doing yourself any favors, and that's what's going to happen. And look, I think Danielle's tough enough to be able to handle it when there's retribution and people go after her, but it's not something that we want to watch at home. We're going to look at that and be like, all right, Paige and Amanda are going after you. You kind of deserve it.
Yeah, she's definitely tough enough. She can weather the storm, but it's like you didn't have to bring it upon yourself.
Yeah.
Like this is your own doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to have to deal with it because you felt the need to interject when you didn't have to. And that's where I'm like, in my head, like she had to have felt like she needed to get involved more because she wasn't doing enough. And her role in the past seasons has been that person that's like, hey, what about this? Are you guys actually good? Like poke, poke.
Yep.
So now she's reverting to old habits rather than, like you said, she was doing great too. She was having a fun summer. She was
great. Yeah.
I mean, great as far as like
Her own.
not in getting involved with stuff. Like she was just going out, having fun. But we'll see how that ends up. The last scene is Lindsay and Carl talking at the party, and he brings up the Loverboy non-alcoholic and the Kyle offer, but he treats it as though, because in his confessionals and stuff, I think this is important to note because, yeah, we are normally Team Carl on this show, especially throughout this whole season. But it was interesting to me how he presented it to her because it was very different than how he's presented it to other people on the show, how he's presented it to us in the confessionals, because the way that he frames it to her is more so like, yeah, we'll see. I'm not really sure about it. Where in my mind leading up to this conversation, he's pretty much in. He's just trying to figure out how to, one, tell Lindsay, and two, make that final decision of, yeah, okay, fine, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, the vibe that I get from at least this perspective or this part of their relationship is Lindsay has given him a very long leash on figuring out what you want to do because obviously, he's going through sobriety and trying to navigate all of that, of course. But when it comes to his career, and we've seen this from Carl a million times on this show, he never has any solid idea of what he wants to do with his career. And he hems and haws at everything that he's going to be doing. I think Lindsay's done a pretty good job of letting him go. And yeah, she's getting frustrated now because you're coming up with ideas of like, hey, I'm going to start a brick and mortar non-alcoholic sports bar. Sure, like if somebody else did it and it popped up, you'd be like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. That takes years of development and all of this money for something that might not work out. All I'm asking you to do is just find a job.
Yeah.
Not find a passion and do this. Like you're not in a comfortable enough position to do that, especially in this relationship or even financially, and I assume so. So Lindsay's giving him enough of a leash. So now he's coming back with something that's very concrete, very plausible. I think she did a good job of navigating that too. Even asking him like, look, you did this last year. It didn't work out. Are you in a good spot right now to do that? Do you think you can actually manage that?
Yeah.
And even then, Carl doesn't really have an answer. He's like, I want to go see what it's all about. You know what it's about. It's very straightforward as to what it's about. It's you working with Kyle once again. So how does that make you feel? And he still doesn't really have an answer in that moment. And he takes this is like Carl playing the victim during all of this. And look, you can analyze their relationship as much as you want. Pick your side, whatever. We do think that Lindsay, in a lot of respects, is a monster.
Yep.
But in this moment, you get to see the other side of the coin. You get to see the other side, which is Carl not really having any sort of idea of what's going on. And when she says, look, like, and this ties back into the sex thing, when she says, look, I'm turned on by somebody who has that chase for life. I've got somebody who wants to have that drive to go do something important.
Crushing life.
He plays the victim. He's like, you don't think I'm like, no, Carl, you're not crushing life. I'm sorry, but you're not. You don't have a job.
You're doing a lot of really amazing things in your sobriety. You're doing
sure,
a lot
yeah,
of things
but you can
there,
leave
but
that side, like separate.
That's what I'm saying is like, yeah, you're doing a lot of amazing things, but as far as, making that next step into, okay, well, what's the next 5 years look like? Things like that. When she speaks from the perspective of, look, we're about to get married. I need to know that I myself am taken care of, that the kids are taken care of. It's not saying like, oh, I need a sugar daddy. It's just saying like, hey, I need a mutual partner. And, when we do have kids, are you able to support us all? Like, could you do that? I thought it was interesting that she took the approach of it turns me on. And I questioned, I was like, that's weird though. Like, you couldn't just say, like, this is what I want out of my partner.
I think
it's trying to motivate.
It's probably trying to motivate, but I think what it's also doing is bringing in, we talked about this with Kyle and Amanda last week, when they're fighting about something and there's like 7 different things on the table that they're fighting about and they don't even realize that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening here too, because we got a glimpse into why this relationship doesn't work. And Carl, you've known Lindsay for how fucking long? You've been engaged to her for only a short amount of time during that span. You have an idea of what she likes and what she doesn't like. And I think everything's kind of coming to a head now where they're not having sex. So she's tying in the sex aspect to something else. And it's all interconnected, of course. But I didn't really have a problem with her bringing that up because that's another sticking point that they're having issues with right now.
I didn't have a problem with it. I just thought it was
interesting,
that way until I said it to Dev. And Dev's like, I think she's just using that like to try to somewhat motivate and be like, hey, if you were out there crushing it, I don't know if our sex life would be a problem.
Yeah.
But
Carl's the problem with the sex life thing, though.
Well, the overall consensus...
Just based off of that one comment that I saw.
I want to have sex with
I want to have sex with that.
That is interesting. But the overall consensus for me watching this scene, because even when she gets done kind of telling her where she's at, she's like, even if it's with Loverboy, like, I just need you to make a move. Like, I need this timeline to be shorter. I think she's well within her right to say those things. Yeah. At no point did I think she was overstepping, being rude, condescending. He takes it that way. You can tell he takes it that way. But I thought that as a partner, especially as your fiance, she's allowed to say these things to you.
Right.
Like, hey, let's fucking move it a little bit, bud. Like, you have a prospect now. This is a real prospect. I know it has to do with working with Kyle, but all that we've seen from Carl is excitement over this potential idea. But when he goes to talk to Lindsay, it's more the, I don't know. Then you get the last confessional with Carl, and he's like, it's just hard. Like, I never feel supported. It's like, look, there's a lot of times this season you could say that she's not supportive. A lot.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
No.
She was being supportive. She was telling you, this is what I need from you. Even if it's doing that, I just need you to fucking do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
I think we've seen that over the last couple of weeks too, honestly. And this is kind of funny because it's been a season-long saga of when is the turning point and when do we see it. We're seeing it slowly but surely, but it's starting to point in the direction of Carl's the one who's getting the cold feet. And look, I get it. We're a couple of weeks removed from the whole what are you on conversation that happened on Sequential Fridays. Of course that's going to happen. But now there's other aspects of your relationship that's coming to light. And it looks like Lindsay's trying. Lindsay in that respect, she's trying, and she's trying to do other things. And yeah, I know we can like hone in on the certain comments that she makes about him being out of town for the week and her loving her space or whatever. That's fine. I don't really give a shit about any of that. She's trying to help right now for somebody who she's viewing as her partner for life to set up a life with. And you're not really trying to find a career. You're just kind of like backing into something with Loverboy and whatever. And for him to play the victim in this, I'm like, he's looking at any opportunity to say, I don't know if this is the person for me.
Yeah.
I think his mind's already been made up. And look, if his mind's made up because she's accusing him of being on drugs weeks ago, fine. Then lean into that and just hold on to that. That's fine. But don't start spinning these other things when it looks like Lindsay's trying to help the situation and say, you know what, maybe she's not the one for me. I'm like, I think she's being supportive.
Yeah. And see, to everyone out there, you guys hate Lindsay.
Yeah.
Look, we will see it from both sides when we're presented with the information. But yeah, I was on her side here. I was like, that's fair. What you're saying is fair. And I think the biggest point that she gets there is she didn't get heated.
Nope.
Everything was concise to the point.
She's definitely a little confused, which is fine.
Yeah, she was. And I think that, as we know, Carl ends up going back to Loverboy, and it seems like it's doing well for him, so good for him. But yeah, it was an interesting scene. I was confused by it. But let's get into some questions.
All right, let's start this one off with Miranda E412. Curious, have you guys ever had Loverboy drinks? I have. I know Steele hasn't tried the non-alcoholic yet.
No, I have not.
I have. I don't really care for them. I think they're just like watered down twisted teas, and I don't even like twisted teas. So.
I missed the entire seltzer craze.
You did.
I've never had a seltzer in my life. I never will.
Never will. We get an old-fashioned marry, boink, kill here from Sabrina Saba 1. Carl, Kyle, Jesse.
Ooh. Boink, marry, kill. I'm probably going to... Damn. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably marry Carl because we're both sober, and that would be an easy transition. Fuck. I guess kill Jesse just
Wow.
because I've known Kyle longer, and boink Kyle. But I think, you know what? Jesse's probably a good bang.
Yeah,
So-
no, I'm going boink Jesse, marry Kyle, kill Carl.
Okay.
Yeah.
We usually agree on those. That's interesting.
I know. Oh, this is a good one. This is kind of like an all-encompassing Bravo one, but Zoe Kudla Pole says, if you had to pick one episode of any Bravo show to show a non-Bravo watcher, what would it be?
Oh, man.
Any episode.
It would have to be if it's one
gotta
of
be like a
our
deep-
one of our friends,
Yeah.
like one of the dudes that we're
It'd have
trying to
to be
get
like a
into
Summer
it.
House,
It's got to be a Summer House, Vanderpump, or Southern Charm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it
You
would
could
probably
do recent
be.
history if you, because a lot of the episodes from like older seasons just kind of merge together. For me.
Yeah, I would say if you showed them like Southern Charm when, honestly, probably the first episode of Southern Charm this year, and again, this is recency bias, but because they could get the gist of it when the dudes are sitting there and JT drops the news in the bar that Austin was sleeping over at Taylor's house, and like that whole thing kind of sets the stage, but you get the dudes and like then you get to see Charleston and stuff like that. Either that or yeah, probably that, because the other ones, like, actually, fuck that. I would go back to season 1, Vanderpump Rules, show them the first two episodes, and just see the dynamic between Jax and Stassi. And that's what got me hooked, because I was like, what the fuck am I watching? This is nuts. Probably that. How about you?
Yeah, I think if it's assuming it's one of our friends, because it would get too tough if it's like one of our friends and we wanted to show them like mid-seasons like of Roni or something, they're not going to be into it.
No,
It's
no,
just-
you got to
yeah,
start.
The Housewives aren't going to work, but
Housewives is like, for anyone out there trying to get yourself a BravBro, you got to save the Housewives shows for later on in their career. You got to start with the Vanderpumps, the Southern Charms, the Summer Houses.
I'd probably go, and I don't remember which season this was, but I'm going to go Summer House when Kyle and Luke almost came to blows.
Oh, that's actually a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They were out and they were hammered all day, and then it ended up with that. So
Is that the one where Carl then runs downstairs and
Yeah.
Luke's outside? Yeah, that's probably that one. You gotta do something with like some testosterone in it, unfortunately.
this is kind of funny because I just said this about Danielle, but Bridget J said, did anyone else not realize that Gabby wasn't in last week's episode? I didn't.
No,
I just didn't.
no, but that's
No shade to Gabby. It's just like
Not at
there's a
all.
lot going on, and I don't really.
and
pay
when
attention.
she is on it, she's very pleasant and enjoyable to watch. So it's not a knock that you didn't notice her. She's
Yeah.
also not getting involved in trivial bullshit. We've seen her kind of be the referee for a lot of things, actually, which she's having a good season in my mind. She's doing exactly what a slightly newer member of the cast should
Yeah.
be doing. It's like, take your time. You'll be a mainstay at some point, but you don't have to jump all in. You can't.
Agreed.
Because not everybody is West and Jesse as well. Like those guys fucking
point.
just slid in. That doesn't happen very often.
And one last question here from Christy Jedlicki. This is for me specifically. Who would you want as your wingman from this cast? Probably West. I mean, that's just an easy one.
Yeah,
West or Jesse.
I would lean
West or Carl. Or I'm sorry, West or Kyle.
West or Kyle. Yeah, because Jesse, I feel like would.
He might
come on too
try.
strong.
Yeah, he might try to steal my girl.
Yeah, West, I think, would actually be like, hey, let's get you a lady tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's all I got for questions.
Well,
What do
as
you got?
Shooter said in the beginning of the episode, we got our live show coming up soon. It is in DC at Union Stage. He was still hungover when he did his plug, so it was a little confusing. Union Stage 5/3, as you said.
May 3rd.
May 3rd, Union Stage, DC. It's a Friday night. We got Candace Dillard coming out. We got Chris Bassett coming out. Ryan Bailey's going to be joining us as well. It's going to be an absolute blast. Tickets are selling really well, and it's a big venue. So we're really excited about that. Go get your tickets. The link is in our Instagram bio. We're stoked to hang out with you. It's been too long since we've been up in the spotlight, pal.
Far too long.
Far too long. So I'm ready to get back up there. But other than that, you got anything else?
Nope.
Nope. BravBros are out here.